start talking about the domino trim stop. Now, throughout the course, and by the way, this is episode 92, so the other 90 episodes I may have talked about or utilized the trim stop, but I want to do a little bit of a deep dive on it because people have been asking, hey, what's this piece that comes in a domino sustainer set with either the 700 when you buy a set or the 500. So I'm going to mention that really quick. It works with either the 700 or 500, the XL or the regular. Today, I'm going to probably use the majority of the time on the Domino 500 because I'm going to step through on how to use it, how to set it up, and how to actually lay out your material to make it effortless. So, what do you use it for? You use it for production work. You can for production work. When, say, you're doing some rail and style work where maybe you have an offset like this for like an arts and crafts style table or wherever, or something you're doing or building like a balustrade on staircases or whatever. Okay, and it's pretty simple because what it is, it's a holding fixture for your domino, and it fits on the plate. So if you don't remember some of the episodes that we've done on the domino, I like to define the domino like this. This is the base, okay, the square part, okay, and this part here is the plate. Okay, I've seen people try to take this and put it on the base, and it's kind of awkward. And by the way, it doesn't work. Okay, it goes on the plate. So when you're setting it up, it's pretty simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something simple. I got some material that's kind of laid out, but I'll go through some more layout with you, and you're going to understand a lot of reference points on the domino as I go through this. So I am going to we're going to just do this. These are my center lines right here. I did the layout earlier. I always want to make sure I lay out both of them at the same time, right across like this. Okay, but we're going to put two pieces on here like this, and like this, and like this. Say we're just doing a quick whatever. Okay, so pretty simple. I'm going to set that aside. Now, what if I have 50 of these? Okay, and I'm trying to balance, watch, look, I created a center line here, and I'm trying to balance a domino like this to plunge in. I mean, I'll have it clamped and everything, but I lay out a center line. I don't want to do all of that. I want to knock these out quick. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the trim stop, and I'm going to describe it to you. It's independently adjustable fences, okay? Just like this. It's not self-centering. There's actually a scale here, okay, that will get you close to where you want to be, and there's a little white arrow to show you the setup. That's not how I set it up. I like to take a piece of the wood, and this is 50 millimeters. Hey, Minnie, let's do a little bit of metric. What is half of 50? Woo! Mrs. Metric is in the house. So what you do is you just take it out, and I laid this out pretty quick and I set it at 25, and I laid out a center line and just verified it from either side. So there's 25 right there. So that's my center line. Pretty simple, right? So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my referenced faces. This is one of the most important things I've taught people over the years, because if you have 50 of these, you got a 50 stack like this. You don't want to start and make sure that in other words, you just want to grab this as you're going and know that's where you lay your plate. Follow? I'm hoping. Always mark your material. So I'm going to take my trim stop, and I'm going to slide it on, okay? And if you can see this, there's a little ledge right here that slips right on. And I'm just going to bring it back on like this. Now, you have these two parts here, and there's a little recess in here. Are you getting this, Big D? Okay, Big D's got it right there, okay? And when you take that, it locks it on like this. So I'm just going to tighten it up. Okay, what I'm going to make sure of is this is 20 millimeters thick, 3/4. So you all know that when I set this up, I like using this gauge block, and I set the 20 in the middle, and I set it down. That's the thickness of my material in there. And I'm going to make sure I'm at 90. So when I flip it over, And I'm going to grab the XL so you can see this. On the base, scribed on the base, you'll see a center line. See it? Okay, it's defined a little bit better. This domino I've been using for many, many years, and the base is kind of scratched up, but I don't know if we can see it, but as I rake a light, you can see there's a scribed center line, and you'll have that on your Domino 500. But there's several ways to do this. If we look right here, see the point? That's the center line. I'm going to bring that up. That's the center line of the cursor, but you also have this scale. So I'm going to bring it in, and I verify it several ways. I'll start here, but I bring it down to the cursor, and I'll just take this and bring it in like this, and then I'll come over here, and I'll bring it over, and I'll bring the other one in like this, okay? And I'm also looking right down the throat of the trim stop, and you'll see if I have that, that's on the 25 line, and that's on the 25 line. So that lined up absolutely perfect. And that's as simple as it gets. Now, what I also like to do is take it like this, and you can see how it lines up top of the cursor here, and it lines right up absolutely perfect. So there you go. I'm ready to go. I'm done. The domino is set up. Now I can just knock these out as long as I have my referenced pieces like this. You'll notice when I was doing these yesterday, look, see, there's all my references right here because I know where my lineup is. I knocked those out in less than 2 minutes. I timed it when I was doing it. Okay, next. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take this, and once again, I could line it up like this, but see this? The base is going to hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to set this over here just like this because I want to work off of the table, and I'm going to get a clamp on here. So that's my stop. I'll do it nice and safe. I have a 5mm bit on here. I checked, but let me check again just to verify. Always do that when you're using a domino. Just make sure, yeah, that's a 5mm bit because the 5mm has got a little fluting right there. I'm going to take it and put it on like this. I got my height of my fence set, but I'm going to be using a 5x30. Minnie, what is half of 30? 15. Woo! There we go. So I'm going to set my plunge depth at 15. Follow? And it's this simple. I'm going to grab my plug-it cord and dust extractor off of my ETS. I'll bring it right in like this. And remember, before you put your plug-it cord on, always make sure it's cycled off. And here we go. And once again, I'm going to plunge. See, there's my... Chris, I ever show you a picture of my X? Never mind. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to do them tight. I'm going to do a nice steady plunge. Now, there is a reason I always mark my boards. Because you don't want to do this. There's a tendency to do that and flip it. Okay? What you want to do is helicopter it around. Okay? That way there, I am referencing the plate of the domino on the consecutive faces or the proper referenced face. And from now here, you can just wail right through it as long as you're clamping it properly. Always remember, make sure that plate is sitting flush on that reference face and plunge at a steady rate in line. Cool. Minnie, you're already on the other side? Oh. Oh, Welsh Rabbit's on?
She told us where the name came from.
No way.
Wait, she called into customer service and said, tell them Welsh Rabbit called.
That is so cool. Okay, so there you have those two pieces. And look at that. Look at that mortise. It's perfect. I shouldn't say perfect, right? Maybe I should. Accurate. Okay, so see how quick that can be? Next, let's do the final layout on these pieces. Now, these are going to go in here. And this is where I see people struggle. That's why I wanted to do that today. Because it's you understanding the references of the domino. So hopefully you've understood this over the years. The distance from this base to the center of the bit is 10 millimeters. So I want my pieces here right in the middle. So what I did is I did this. Ooh, Sparky. Hey, I think that's the first time I heard Sparky back. Okay, Sparky, do you remember what depth? 15? Okay, good. Okay, so look, I'm just going to lay these out. These are my center lines. I laid these out just to speed it up a little, but I'm going to take another measurement on here. Okay, and Big D, can you get right in here, hopefully? I'm going to take this, and this, well, you know what? I'm going to try to take it like this so Chris can get it. I'm just going to mark this one, okay? This is why I like using this folding rule. The distance from the base to the center is 10 millimeters. So I'm going to lay out my 10 millimeter, and I always like coming right down here to make my mark right on the edge. See that? So I know that's 10 millimeters, and there's my point. And right here, I'm going to bring 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter, okay, and make my mark. Just verify it here again. Make my mark right where I need it. So hopefully, Big D, you see that, right? So here's a little tip that I've used because I've done a lot of this over the years. I want to make sure that I know where the center line is and my layout line or my layup line. So I'm going to come right in here, making sure that those are even. And my layup line where I'm going to place my base, I always do a half mark like that. Follow? And I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Always want to make sure I'm flush up against that stop. And I'll do my half mark. And you'll understand what I'm talking about momentarily. Remember when I said earlier that this is already set up? It is. Check this out. I'm going to take it like this, fold it up. And now I can take, see how that's also cradling it right here? Can you get a shot of that, Chris? See how that's cradling? It's supporting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that. That's where I want my domino, okay? I measured 10 millimeters back. I'm just going to bring that in. It's really nice when your domino over the ears gets a slight polish on the base. You can actually creep right up to it and split the line. So whenever I'm setting up for a vertical plunge, I used to take this and go like this, and it would kind of plunge while I was turning it on. So Greg Pellini taught me this. Fantastic instructor. He showed me that he takes it like this, he supports it like this, and he pinches it on like this. Okay? It's just a really safe way to turn on a domino. So I put a lot of pressure here. I go like this, and I just got to plunge down. And then I'm going to do my next one. Look how that's right in the center. Now here's the situation I run into over the time. I always take a piece like this because this wants to tip forward, and I slide it in to give me support when I do the next one, like this. And then I'm just going to slide that out and slide this over, making sure I hit that half mark, just like this, and bring it right in. You see how quick this can work for you? Just making sure that's sitting nice and flat. I'll bring it up to the next one. There's my center line again. I bring it back. And there we go. So, that's as simple as it gets. Right? I'm going to take that now. Remember the 10 millimeters? And remember when I had this set here, the plate at 20? Okay, to do these pieces, I know where my X is, right? So look, and oh man, I wish you guys, we had feel-o-vision here. Look how flush that is. It's absolutely perfect. So that comes right in like this. This one comes right in, absolutely perfectly flush. Now, if you have a little bit of waver and you're not measuring to perfection, what you can do is put a little wiggle room in these with this setting right here. Okay, and then you have the maneuverability and you don't lose any glue line whatsoever. Okay, so I know where my mark is here, and I aim it this way toward the X's, and I just bring it in here. And look how easy that is. Okay, now, you ready? It's as easy as pie No. Wait for it. Minnie, easy as pie. No. Easy? Okay, good. So I think Big D put it on the Festool_USA Instagram account. A couple people have reached out to us already about different sanders. Today's episode is about the DTS 400, which is this one. Okay. And the RTS 400, which is this one. And over the years, people have asked, what's the difference? They look the same. So, are the pads interchangeable? That would be no. Okay. They are the same motors. 2mm stroke. Okay. And they're an orbital sander. Okay. And in saying that, I forget what episode it is. I think it's in the first 5 episodes, how to choose the right sander. Okay. I talked a lot about all the different sanders and I categorized them. Come over here to the whiteboard, Chris. Right here, we have the different orbits that we have in our arsenal. Okay. Where this is what an orbital does. You know it. It's a vibrating sander. It's kind of like a quarter sheet or half sheet sander. You've had those over the years, right? That is what an orbital does. It's a what? It's not a rapid stock removal sander. Okay, it's more of a finishing sander. And then we have random orbit, which is an orbital, but it also spins. Then we have a Rotex sander, which is a random orbit pattern, but it's also a geared random orbit because we throw a pin in here and you can hear it. Look, there's your random orbit, right? But we throw that pin, and now it's a geared random orbit. If you've never used a Rotex sander, I implore you, I beg you, go try one somewhere. Because that is the one-all, beat-all sander that we have in the Festool lineup. You have random orbit, and you have a really aggressive, almost like belt sander quality, but without the striation pattern. So that's Rotex. Then we have linear sanders. Oh, wait a minute. We no longer have linear sanders, do we? We just discontinued them. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. The only linear sander we have is what? Our hand sanding blocks. Okay. And then we have what is known as a rotary, and that's a constant spinning. And I used to say, and this is difficult because we would have a RAS that got discontinued, but we would have the regular Planex and the Planex EZ. Those are both what? Rotary. But then with the Planex 2.0, we now have a random orbit drywall sander, and it is phenomenal. Okay, so I just wanted to go through that with you so you understand what the DTS and RTS orbits are. Okay, so I'm going to go right to my RTS here, and I want to explain something and I'm going to use the whiteboard over here so many can get this for more names. Don't forget to tell us where you're from. You're welcome. So, this was my first sander that I bought from Festool in 2004. Actually, it was the RS400. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, no one showed me. I went into a dealer down in Fort Lauderdale, and I bought it because I thought, oh, it's like a quarter sheet sander, but there was something about it I liked, and I'll tell you that in a minute. I should have been shown, and I should have purchased this one. And in about 5 minutes, I'll show you why. So I'm going to leave that right there. The DTS sander is what a cabinet maker should own. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to tell you, when somebody asked here at Festool or during a training or out on the road, they would say, what's your favorite sander? I'd point it right over, RO 150. That's the Rotex 150. My second favorite sander in the Festool lineup is the DTS 400. And you're going to see why in just a few minutes. Okay, so what attracted me to the RTS 400 was this. Velcro. I called it Velcro. Okay? This is not Velcro. It's a hook. That's the loop. Velcro is a trade name from a company. Okay? And if you look at Velcro, if you rake a light on a Velcro pad, look, it all goes one way, a hook and loop pad. That's how it's manufactured. So when you put a piece of paper on there, okay, it locks this way, but it shifts this way. So if you have a little bit of shift in there, you could take that 2mm stroke and put a piece of paper on that hook or that Velcro, and it kind of stands still. You don't get the efficiency of the motor. And I know that because I used a hook and loop on a triangular pad once and I turned it off. I was more efficient using it by hand because it didn't move the grit of the paper. This is your tool. Always remember, this is your tool. You have to choose the right machine to move the tool. So when you read in our catalog, you see online globally, and you see stick fix hook and loop, that is a trademark of Festool. Tool Technic Systems. And it's because we developed our own hook system where instead of going one direction, they go multiple directions. And that is why when you lock on a piece of paper to a Festool sander, it stays there. It's really, really tough to get off. And if we had tougher vision, you'd see that. Okay, so I'm going to put that on. And now, because there's no shifting of the paper on those hooks, guess what? You could take the efficiency of the Festool motor and bring it down to the tool. Woo! That's all I have to say about that. Now, the most important part of today's live, move, Chris. I got to bring this over to Minnie. Minnie, is it okay if I leave my stuff on there? You can erase it. RTS 400, open areas. DTS 400, enclosed areas, up against when you're standing up against adjacent surfaces. Somebody would always ask, what type of sander is that? It looks like an iron. I've heard that 100 times. It's the pad itself. And I'll show you a killer example. If you look at it, see how it's taped up like this? So this becomes a single point of contact as you put it up against the adjacent surface. Now, over the years, we've come out with these. We call them protectors. Okay? And they slide right on here like this. Okay, and they snap on. And that gets you very close to the surface, but it's not as close as the pad. And we have them for the RTS as well. Okay, but it doesn't get you as close because that's your standoff. So the best way to do this is show you the example. And I'm just going to draw this like this. Let me get the paper on here. Let me line it up correctly. Always find two holes, and it lines up nicely. Okay, and I'm just going to draw this out all the way. And somebody will say this is a detail sander. Yes, because you have this point here. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to grab my RTS 400, hook it up like this, bring it in. You guys want to hear an inside running joke at Festool Live? The boys and Minnie always ask Sedge, how long is this going to last? I go, it's on two sanders, about 5 minutes. I think we're already at 10, Big D. Man, can that guy talk, huh? Okay, I'm just going to draw this for you. Look, I got some glue squeeze out. I got to clean up an area inside a cabinet. I didn't sand all my panels flat. So I need to get up against that adjacent surface, right? One thing you should always do, and let's talk about Festool sanding. I have it all the way up here like this. That kind of sticks. But if I turn it down, it starts to float. Okay? So I always turn that down. It helps eliminate one of the things that causes swirl marks. Okay, if I take this pad and bring it up against that adjacent surface, that's marring the adjacent surface. Follow? And it's bumping around. Well, the DTS is for adjacent surface sanding. You can get close with the protector on both of them, but I always finish up an inside corner with this. Chris, get in here so everybody can see it. See that right there? And look at that. What did somebody say to me once? That's like a magic eraser. Okay, this is for me in cabinetry, doing my final sanding, inside boxes, drawer boxes, inside doors, like right here. I'll show you. I pulled the doors off the cab, but I wouldn't attempt that with the RTS. I would come right in here and grab it with the DTS. I'll just take it like this because I can come in here. I know that's a little loud, but I can get right in there up against that adjacent surface and I'm not going to mar anything. So that's the difference. the main difference, basically the biggest difference, or why someone would choose the RTS over the DTS. So you're asking right now, and I'm almost back there, why the RTS? And I'll show you. You're not sanding a lot of adjacent surfaces. You're sanding your panels flat before finishing. You're not using glue. And this is a great open surface sander. And I'll just turn that on and let it go. See? I don't have to sand up against adjacent surfaces. Just like this. It's beautiful. It works great. And that's why we have the RTS. Do you need both of them? Well, I always say this. Yes. I'm just kidding. I will always ask, what are you going to be? Are you a cabinet maker? Are you a furniture builder? Wait a minute. Are you a drywaller? Follow. Well, with the Festool Planex system, right? You always have inside corners. I'm going to come in here. Okay, so you can see this. Chris, you got that? Okay. I can get very close with the Planex 2.0. And also the Planex EZ, I can get very close. But sometimes my finish up sander, point up sander, is the DTS 400. The nice thing is we now have the adapter. So I can go right down with the CT36 AC's Planex hose. I can put that right on. So I can go from 36 down to 27. The only thing I need is power. So I'm going to turn that on. Someone out there is going, but Sid, you have a cordless version. I go, that's correct. Okay, but I just want to put that on, get that good, and get my... So this is a great finish sander for drywall. In fact, I know a lot of professional drywallers that are using the DTS 400. And you'll see, I can get right in that inside corner and not mar that secondary corner. So that's a great sander for drywall. Once again, with the CT36 AC, you have that auto clean feature, and that abrasive, that Granat abrasive, is going to last a long time because you're not gumming it up. So I just wanted to point that out. That's another great application for that sander. And there's a lot of people out there watching this going, that's exactly right, because that's what I use for my inside corners. Woo! Back to the RTS. I'm almost there. I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about that's available, and here's a little bit of a difference. Okay? With the RTS, we offer interface pads. With the DTS, we do not. What an interface pad is the interfaces between the pad and the tool or the paper. Okay? They come in this box right here, and you'll see it comes in a what? 2-pack. Good. So, I only do that so many laughs. I'm telling you. See how that interface is like that? And why do you need an interface pad? I think I've mentioned this several times. But say I'm taking this little charcuterie board and I got a little round over here, very slight radius. I don't want flats to appear as I'm sanding this with the harder pad. I will sand this with the regular pad and paper and then finish it up with the same grit, just like this. And you'll see where that doesn't leave any marks, and it's absolutely perfect. It's actually a really nice contour pad. See how it just form fits to that? Someone will ask, can I put more than one? Absolutely. Check this out. You put it right on here like this, and you can do two, and you can do really big radiuses with it. So I just thought I'd point that out. That's what an interface pad is, and that is a difference between the DTS and RTS, because the DTS doesn't accommodate the interface pads. Cool. Okay. Whew. Wow. Both versions are available in cordless. And that is also important. And the reason I wanted to point it out is you can also get the hybrid battery for this, which goes in here, and you can put a plug-it cord on there. There's no battery inside the adapter, but it allows you to use this cordless or corded. And that's a big bogey for some people because sometimes they just want to grab this. They got to go do some point up on some windowsills. A painter might want to just do something really quick in a built-in and doesn't want to carry a dust extractor all the way up the stairs, whatever. They can use it cordless, come back down, go to the shop, and have the corded version battery of this.